Hey everyone, it's Tanya. Glad to have you back in my garden with me today. In today's video, I'm going to create a cozy plant nook on this new side table that I just placed here this morning. It is an east-facing window and it gets really bright light in the mornings and then really fades to the afternoon. So here's the table that I placed here, and as you can see, it gets a nice amount of light. It is late morning here, and the plants will have the chance to get some bright morning light quite late into the day, actually, until the afternoon. So I am not concerned about any plants suffering due to lighting issues. And I just thought I'd take this chance to get my hands in some dirt, garden, and take you along and show you what I've done. So take a look. Isn't it just so cozy? And what a nice spot for plants to live as indoor house plants, especially when it is so frigid outside. Here is my lemon cypress that I brought inside. I actually had this in a fall container and as an annual outside all summer long in a single pot. So I'm going to treat it as a house plant over the winter. They do very well here as house plants. They do require direct sunlight. They cannot be exposed to very frigid temperatures. They will burn. So just something to keep in mind if you are getting this as a house plant, but isn't that just so beautiful? And I've put some moss and pine cones here in the bottom, if you can see that. So I just thought this was a really sweet addition and a way to add some vertical interest to this area. And here we have the juniper cypress, which is very similar to the lemon cypress, except that it has more blue-like foliage instead of that bright green of the lemon cypress. And it does grow in a very upright columnar form. So it just adds a nice small addition here in the window. And it also, like the lemon cypress, prefers direct sunlight. It will thrive with well-draining soil. So I actually make a point to rotate the plants every day or every other day or so, just to make sure that they're all exposed evenly to the same amount of sunlight. And next here we have a jade plant, and jade plants actually prefer part shade conditions. However, since this is morning light, I am going to give it a try and see how this plant is doing. I do notice a few burn spots here, so I'm hoping that it was just a shock to being planted up and exposed to a new environment. But we will see. I will keep an eye on it, and if it does need to be moved, I have a shady spot for it. And right next to my jade plant is a succulent variety called Crassula perforata. I hope I'm saying that correctly. This is a succulent which, like other succulents, prefers very dry soil, well-draining soil, occasional watering, and bright direct sunlight. And I just think the structure on this is so sweet. And when it does bloom, it will bloom bright cream flowers. So I thought that was a really nice addition to this little area. And right next to it, just intersperse some natural elements, picture frames, just something to make it homey. And over here, I have my baby sun rose. This is like a succulent, a rambler plant. And when it blooms those bright pink foliage flowers. And I just thought this was really gorgeous. Like other succulents, this prefers just occasional watering with very well draining soil. So I only water this on occasion. And I just really like the way it hangs over, kind of creating that draping effect, which I thought was very pretty. Down here I have all of my Coleus that I've brought in from outside. I did an overwintering annual series, and one of my videos focused on propagating Coleus and overwintering them indoors. So take a look at how these Coleus are doing. These are the Proven Winners variety. The name is escaping me. I will put it up on the screen. But they're just doing great, and you can see the roots are really nicely developing, and they are thriving here in their location. This is one that I actually potted up. I did not propagate, but just simply transferred to an indoor house plant, and it's doing really well. I am pinching the blooms, pinching the leaves rather, just to prevent it from getting too leggy. If it begins to reach for light, I would like it to be bushy, so that way when I plant it out as an annual in the summer, it will be nice and full. And right over here is my Norfolk pine. I absolutely love this plant. It is just stunning. It has put on quite a bit of size since I got it last year. I'd say it's standing at about 18 inches now. And Norfolk pines are just beautiful. These are hardy down, I believe, to a zone 8, so they will not survive outdoors in my area during the winter, but they thrive as indoor house plants. So it has put on a lot of size, and the needles are just very soft. They add a lot of evergreen and texture and a lot of movement to this area. They do prefer well-draining soil, and I do water them pretty regularly every few days. They do not like to dry out. One thing I do notice, if I have forgotten to water this, it will brown on the bottom. As you can see here, it has browned a bit. I don't know if that's just typical leaf cast of an evergreen or if that's due to negligence. I really do try to baby this, but it does look healthy otherwise. So I think that is a typical leaf casting that evergreens do every fall. And over here we have more Coleus. These are Coleus that I cut, propagated, and simply stuck in soil. And as you can see, they are just doing wonderfully. I've also pinched these back just to create a more bushy plant and to prevent them from becoming leggy. Coleus do not like to dry out at all. They will really tell you if they're suffering and dry. So I do water them pretty regularly, especially because this is over a heating vent. So I just have to be mindful of that. And right down here, I have an asparagus fern. And this asparagus fern is sort of in a rehabilitation state. As you can see in the bottom, it is without any foliage. It was exposed in a pretty dark environment. That was user error on my part, and I just kind of forgot about it in the haste of all the summer gardening activities outside. This one was a little neglected. So I've placed this here thinking that it will bounce back really nicely. I already see some growth down here that will just bush out and grow. So I am hopeful this will go ahead and bush up and get a little bit bigger. Fern do like well-draining soil. They do prefer moist soil. They actually like to be sprayed with water, really just to retain that moisture. So I have to be mindful of that. This again is overheating vents, so I just want to be careful not to expose plants that don't like that dry air to too much dry environment. And this one right here is let me see if I can pronounce that correctly, Dieffenbachia. This is an indoor house plant that also I've exposed to some user error. It prefers a very bright light. I had it in an area in my bedroom that was very dark, and I really liked the vertical interest where it was at, but it suffered. So it is shooting new growth here because I did place it in a bright environment. So I will go ahead and keep it here, let it rehab, and likely move this since it will grow beyond this table. So all in all, just really happy with the way this turned out. What a fun project to do on a freezing cold day. And here is this faux olive tree that I put up, and I just love this. I have two of these actually in my sunroom, and I just think it adds such a beautiful foliage for being an artificial tree. It really has beautiful structure. The bark looks real, and it's easy to assemble, and I just love the natural element and vertical interest it provides to this space. So I'm really pleased with this. I'll be sure to link this tree in the description below, and I highly recommend it. It is beautiful. I also purchased this basket and some peat moss just to put on there, just to give it more of a natural look. I'm so happy with the way this space turned out. What a great place for plants to live indoors in a bright sunny window, especially on a frigid day like today in the winter. All right, everybody, that is going to do it for today. I really hope you enjoyed doing this project with me. I really enjoyed it. It's such a nice time when I get to garden inside, especially when it's freezing. I hope you get a chance to get into your garden today, whether that be indoor or outdoor, wherever you live, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.